Good afternoon from New York. We're coming on the air with breaking news about an exceptionally brutal day on Wall Street.
I always say tariffs is the most beautiful word to me in the dictionary. Tariffs.
This is a direct attack.
The markets are going to boom, the stock is going to boom, the country is going to boom.
So the financial markets just crashed, and there's a really good chance that we're actually entering a recession. And in today's video, no matter what financial position you are actually in, I'm going to be showing you my exact strategy on how I plan to take full advantage of the markets collapsing so that I can set myself and my future family up for generational levels of wealth. And even if you're dead broke, I'm going to be giving you a step-by-step game plan on how you can take advantage of these markets so that even you can create financial freedom for yourself as well. And if you don't know who I am, and if this is your first video, my name is Luke Del Priore. I own multiple multi-seven-figure businesses with my brother Dario. I invest into different companies, but my primary business is a digital marketing agency that goes by the name of Del Priore Hospitality. I've been an entrepreneur most of my life, but if you don't know my story, you can go check that out. There's plenty of videos on that. So, to dig in, first and foremost, I want you to understand why the markets just came down as hard as they did. Now, whether you love him or hate him, it is primarily because of President Trump's new policy, his new tariff on imports. Because of Trump's tariff on imports, investors and stock market analysts really have no idea what's going to happen with the economy, which is why you see a ton of fear in the market. And when there is fear in the market, there's less buyers, and with less demand, prices come down in the stock market due to less consumer spending. And really all that these tariffs are, to put simple, is Trump wants more economic growth at home. He wants to make it harder for countries to be able to import their goods into the United States without paying a higher fee, which will idealistically incentivize more people to create more product and more trade strictly within the US so that things that are made here can also be sold here and we can facilitate more jobs and more successful American businesses. But again, if things are made in America, this is what's ramping the price up, and right now we're in a bit of a bidding war with China and other countries as well. So like I said, as a result, you see a big dip in the market and things have declined. Now, if you're someone who's sitting on cash like myself, I'm not a believer in sitting on cash as an investment, but I sit on what I call opportunity cash. And the opportunity cash I sit on is a bank account that I have where I will put money into that account and I will hold it as cash until I see an opportunity, be it a company I want to invest in. When the markets go down, I like to use that money to invest. I use it as cash on hand that I can use if an opportunity pops up. Now, if you're someone like myself, or if you're someone who is ultra rich, ultra wealthy, this is an incredible opportunity. The ultra high net worth individuals love when the markets come down because we see it as another buying opportunity. We just take the cash that we have, we buy more at a lower price, and we ride the wave of the markets until everything comes back up. And then at that point, we can either sell our positions, borrow against that money. There's so many things that we can do. So let's take a step back and let's just look at one asset and let's look at the history of the price. Let's take a look at Bitcoin. If I'm not mistaken, I believe Bitcoin reached its previous all-time high in around December of 2024, where it had peaked to over $100,000 per coin. But the same thing happened for other financial markets as well. Real estate's been up, the stock market has been up. Over the last 2 years, the S&P 500 is still way up. So again, when something like Bitcoin drops back down into the 60s or into the 70s, long-term investors just say, great, I get to buy it on sale again. They buy more positions, as I'm buying more positions right now, and they just, again, ride the waves of the market until everything comes back to normal and stabilizes, and they're going to generate even higher returns on investment that way. You know who gets wiped out? Probably you watching this video. If you're the kind of person that invested your last $1,000, $500, $800 into something like Bitcoin and you purchased it high at 90-something thousand, 100-something thousand, and now you see the price coming back down, you're going to feel extreme fear. You're going to worry. Am I going to lose it all? Am I going to lose my money? And what will happen is, because you're someone who needed that money that you invested and you were hoping to get a quick, large return on investment, you end up selling at a loss and you end up losing the money. And this is where it truly does go to show the financial markets are unfair if you're not someone that is already of a somewhat high net worth that does not have a long-term view on their investments. So ultimately, the moral of the story is this. If you look at the financial markets over the last 100 years, you're going to see swings, up, down, up, down, up, down. But historically, if you look at the S&P 500, if you're the kind of person that has, again, that long-term vision and that long-term view on the asset, if you would just buy the S&P 500, and if you would just dollar cost average into it every single week, which basically just means you buy the same amount every single week, regardless of the price, over time, you'll have made money. That's how the market works. Whether you're buying up, down, middle, doesn't matter. If you're a long-term investor, you make money. And again, the long-term investors like myself, we worry about our 10-year returns, 15-year returns. We're not worried about what the price of an asset is doing tomorrow. So for those of you that may be watching this video that are broke, that do not have the cash on hand to invest into an asset like Bitcoin now that it's on sale, like Solana, Ethereum, XRP, some of the big blue chip crypto projects. Maybe you want to go buy some Apple stock now that it's come down. It does not matter what you are actually looking to purchase, but if you do not have significant amounts of cash to purchase these assets, it's never going to truly move the needle financially. Otherwise, you're really just gambling. I mean, think about it. If you're the type of person that's trying to take $1,000 in a market like this and turn it into life-changing money, which might be, for you watching this video, $100,000 or $1 million, what are the odds of pulling off a 100x, a 1000x? You're gambling at that point. So the moral of the story and what this actually tells me is that more than likely, if you're watching this video with less than $10,000 in the bank, you actually have an earned income issue. And even if you do have more than $10,000 in the bank, maybe you have $50,000 saved. If you're someone that's earning in a state like America $1,000 a week, hell, I'll even go as far as to say $2,000 a week, you still have an earned income issue. So before you even think about investing in a market like this, you need to fix the root causative problem, which is your earned income. And you need to figure out how to generate more cash flow and more income fast so that you can have money to invest into these assets. So for me, I'm only going to speak from experience and what's actually worked personally for me. And what's worked for me is a year and a half ago, I launched my own online digital marketing agency, which you can go check out. It goes by the name of Del Priori Hospitality. And effectively what I do inside of my business is I work with different business owners across the country and I help them to grow and scale by doing things like search engine optimization. If you don't know what that is, I basically help their business rank higher on Google. We run ads on Instagram and Facebook. If you've ever been scrolling and you see a post that says sponsored, that's a Facebook and Instagram ad. So I set up ads for businesses to help them generate more leads and more new business. So take, for example, a solar company. Maybe there's a solar company in your area. And what are business owners really looking to do? Let's say someone that owns a solar company. They're looking to grow their business aggressively all the time, especially the good ones. So let's say their average project that they do, putting up solar on a roof, might cost $10,000, $20,000 to a homeowner. They need more leads because they want to do more of these installations. So if you could be the person that learns how to run ads on Facebook and Instagram, how to help their website rank on Google, which is actually fairly simple if you just learn the basics. You can help these people generate leads and they will pay you thousands of dollars every single month so that they can get more leads for their business, which gives them a true return on investment. And the beautiful thing about this kind of business is once you have a niche, for example, a roofer, a solar company, maybe a restaurant owner, maybe dentists, once you can generate predictable results through your new online marketing system for that one type of business owner, you can then go get another business owner in a different state. You can get a third business owner in a different state, and you can continue growing and scaling, pitching this system that's helping that specific type of business owner grow. And think about it like this. If you can get 10 people and 10 different businesses in the world, which by the way, there's millions of, to pay you $2,000 a month to help their business market online, that's $20,000 a month. And let me explain something to you. Less than 1% of Americans make over $20,000 a month. So you're 10 yeses away from being a top 1% earner. And shameless plug, I have nothing to sell you in this video, but I do have an absolutely free YouTube channel, which by the way, you can go check out. I'll link it in the description. It's called Del Priori Brothers Business. I literally show you step by step exactly what you need to know on how you can run your own digital marketing agency, just like my brother and myself. So for me, that is step one. You need to increase your cash earnings. You need to start actually increasing the level of earned income that you have, because I'm not a gambler. I'm a long-term investor. I'm not trying to tell you to take $1,000, invest into a shit coin and try to make it 100 grand. Because it's not something that I personally do. I can only speak from my experience, and I don't believe in doing that. Now, once you have launched your business and once you are successful, which may take a bit of time, weather that storm and do not give up. Continue working on your business and continue focusing on continuously increasing your earned income levels. Get to $10,000 a month. Go from $10,000 to $20,000, from $20,000 to $50,000, from $50,000 to $100,000. And I promise you, this is achievable because if I figured it out, you can as well. I've laid it all out for you. Now, the next step is going to be to save and invest 70% of everything that you're making from your business or your personal income if possible. And I know what you're probably thinking, Luke, I can't save 70% of what I'm making right now. There's no way. I have a car, I have rent, or maybe you have student loans. And that goes to show you that I'm right. And you do have an earned income issue, because I can live my absolute dream life on about 15% of all the income that I generate per month, which allows me to play this game with an unfair advantage because I can invest tens of thousands of dollars every single month into assets that earn while I sleep. And again, if you cannot live your dream life on a small percentage of your total earned income on a monthly basis, you have that earned income issue, which you need to solve first. And I know what you're probably thinking. Oh, but Luke, I see you have an Aston Martin, and I see you have a really nice apartment, and I see you buy watches, and you go out to fancy dinners, and all this stuff, blah, 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 blah. It's still all in proportion to the amount of income that I'm generating. I'm not splurging. I'm not overspending. Trust me, you would know if I was. Everything is done in proportion to the level of income that I'm actually generating. And once you're doing well for yourself, you can splurge and have a bit of fun as long as it's within reason compared to the rest of your earned income. So for me personally, my rule is actually 80%. I only live on 20% of everything that I earn, and I save and invest 80% of everything that I actually earn. So here's how I would personally invest as a beginner in markets like this. What you want to create is diversification. Okay, there's all different markets, stocks, crypto, bonds, etc. You need to pick a vehicle that works for you. And for me personally, I think that as a beginner investor, the two markets I'd be looking into with a really low barrier to entry and potential for a really high return on investment that are also fairly passive are the stock market and cryptocurrencies. So what I would do out of all this money that you're now saving off of ideally your business or maybe even your job, I would take 50% of that income that's dedicated towards that saving pool and I would put it into Bitcoin. And I would take the other 50% and I would put it right towards the S&P 500. Now, for me personally, I believe Bitcoin is the future. Look at all the big banks. They're buying up tons of Bitcoin. You cannot print Bitcoin out of thin air like you can do with fiat currency, and so many other reasons. So I truly predict that the price of Bitcoin will continue growing year over year. Last 10 years, it's grown a lot better than other asset classes. I'm just saying, it's done better than real estate. It's done better than the stock market. However, for diversification, you do not want all your eggs in one basket. Let's say I'm wrong about Bitcoin and the price comes down to zero. That's okay because you're putting money into it that's designed to grow. And if it doesn't grow, it's money that you didn't need because you're living off a smaller percent of your income. Now, with the other 50% of that money, I would invest it into the S&P 500. Basically, all this is in America, it's the 500 biggest companies in the world. And you're basically buying a small fractional share of all 500 of these companies. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. Oh, why do I need 500 different companies? Guys, it's diversification. If you just buy one business and you put all your eggs in one basket, let's say Nike goes out of business, your whole portfolio would have gotten wiped out. But for the S&P 500 to truly crash terribly, all 500 companies would have to be doing extremely bad. And that's not super likely because you're in different markets. There'll be tech companies, retail, there's going to be all different kinds of businesses in the S&P 500. And I truly think whether you're a beginner or even a seasoned investor, this is a really good strategy to generate historically a good return on investment year over year. And this is something that I still do. And you could do this without being a gambler and feeling like you're going to the casino because you're not gambling, again, on crappy projects. And you're going to invest into these assets via dollar cost averaging. So let's say you're earning $10,000 a month. And let's say you want to invest 70% of everything that you earn. You're going to figure out how to live on $3,000 a month. So you're going to live in a state where you're actually trying to save as much as you can so that you can invest it. And you're going to take that $7,000 and you're going to break it up into 4 investments per month on the same day every single week. So let's say it's Friday. You're going to take $1,750, which is 25% of $7,000, and you're going to invest it into Bitcoin and the S&P 500 every week. $875 going to Bitcoin, $875 going towards the S&P. And you can adjust this according to your earned income level as well. Now, step 3, and I know you're probably going to think, well, this is boring, but it's actually just be patient. Guys, you set the system up. You have income coming in, ideally, like I said, off of your own online business that's cash flowing and generating you a really good return. And you're also generating great returns in the market that are fairly safe. Now, you have to start thinking like a long-term investor. There's going to be all different opportunities that come your way. Oh, this guy said to buy this guy said to buy that guy said to buy that. Listen, the traders are always going to get wiped out compared to guys that are long-term investors, like, for example, the great Warren Buffett. Now, if you think you're smarter than Warren Buffett, then go ahead. deploy your own strategy, gamble on different projects, and let's see how far you go in the end. But you need to focus on having a career, a financial career. You can't look at it as a 6-month goal. Oh, I need to pump in these markets and I know I could get rich in the next 6 months. The only way you're truly going to get rich is through your business. You're going to become wealthy idealistically through your investments, which are going to earn while you sleep. So you need to work diligently, you need to work hard, but you also need to have a long-term output on everything that you've set up. The only thing I would rush for is earned income. You want aggressiveness in your business, trying to grow, calling as many people as you can, trying to generate cash flow through your business. That's where I want you taking the risk. But do not apply that same risk to investing, because that is not investing, that is gambling. So if you're serious about your goals financially, take these steps, implement them, and you're going to watch your life change over the next 5 to 10 years. Or you can continue doing what you're doing. Go work.